Warnings earlier, perhaps closer to the storm center, that we're moving off a little bit faster. But again, as this storm continues to make its way toward Highway 84, if you have friends and family in the Mount Zion community or the Wheeling communities, make sure that they are sheltered interior portions of their home away from windows and doors. And again, the storm's moving to the north. It is not moving to the east. So as you look downstream with this particular storm, you're talking about interests along Highway 84. Again, a reminder that Winfield, you are not in this tornado warning. There will be numerous other cells as we go through the day, and there's a tornado watch out for about the southwestern or the western half of our viewing area until 10 o'clock tonight. It was issued at 10 o'clock this morning. Again, the slow-moving nature of a tropical system will kind of leave this, this scenario for possible tornadoes through much of the afternoon, especially as we now hit the 2-3 o'clock time frame and we're starting to see the peak heating of the afternoon. So we're working the normal daytime atmospheric instability in with these tropical bands. Along with that, and I just want to kind of keep this in mind for folks that are traveling, that these storms are also using and working with a lot of tropical moisture, meaning that a lot of these storms are producing some very heavy downpours. May not look like it on radar, but again, there will be a lot of areas that see several inches of rainfall in a short period of time as these bands move through. That is most likely in the western half of our viewing area. For folks that are joining us on air, online, again, there's our possible tornado here as it approaches Highway 84. Quite frankly, the National Weather Service in Shreveport's radar has a much broader or much bolder radar signature there. But for folks that are joining us on social media or on air right now, and they're wondering about their area and it's not in Wynn or Grant or Bienville parishes, I just want to stress to you folks as well that in the western half of the viewing area, a lot of folks are under a tornado watch from Ruston and El Dorado westward until 10 o'clock. Monroe and points eastward, not under a tornado watch. Doesn't mean we can't see conditions favorable for tornadoes with some cells possible later today, but it'll be on a much more isolated or scattered fashion. These bands that are associated with Tropical Storm Beryl, it's usually the stronger wind dynamics closer to the storm center, and it creates the wind shear in the environment, that front right quadrant that we talk about with tropical landfalling systems that can produce tornadoes. The signature that we would be looking for that possible Bienville Parish storm, again, I don't want to pay too little attention to it, but it really looks like it's well west of the Bienville line. That's why we haven't spent a whole lot of time on air talking about it. I don't want folks to think that they're not any more important than the folks in Wynn and Grant Parish. It's not true, but again, this is in a very rural part of Bienville Parish. There's the Bienville line, so it's just a little sliver of the parish that's included in this tornado warning. And to be honest with you, this storm looks like it is well into portions of Webster Parish and moving to the northwest, so kind of moving even farther away from our area. To kind of put into scope what we're dealing with Tropical Storm Beryl, there are all of the tornado warnings that are currently active, and tropical systems very often create tornado scenarios like this. Every tropical system is different in that regard. Some tropical systems, even category 2, 3, 4 hurricanes, move inland, and some don't produce tornadoes. And then sometimes you get a high-end tropical storm or a low-end Cat 1, Cat 2 hurricane, and they can sometimes produce some of the broadest tornado scenarios. Go back to Hannah when it made landfall in the Ark-La-Miss several years ago, I believe in 2009. We had numerous tornado warnings associated with that storm, but we took a more direct hit from Hurricane Gustav and didn't see near as much tornadic activity. So again, just kind of trying to put into scope that every storm is different, and the Storm Prediction Center, we've been talking about this. We talked about it over the weekend, and we talked about it at length yesterday about the possibility of these fast-moving, fast-developing storms that could produce tornadoes across the area. Here's a look at the storm relative velocities again, and I'm going to take this little menu off so we can see things a little bit better. We're going to probably stay on this radar mode a lot as the coverage continues through the rest of the afternoon. But again, our tornado warning storm in our viewing area, far southwestern sections of Wynn Parish, this storm has now, this possible tornado, has moved out of Grant Parish and has moved firmly into southwestern Wynn Parish. Just outside of our viewing area, and some of our Fox 14 viewers in Natchitoches Parish can still pick us up there. But I just want to caution folks, south of I-49 in Natchitoches Parish. That is a very, very vicious looking tornado signature in the terms of a tropical system. Again, these will not necessarily be the EF4s and 5s, but again, there could be the possibility of some very strong circulations and some pretty strong winds associated with these tornadoes. Alex, go ahead.
They have a transponder report of that Natchitoches tornado.
Okay, so that storm now has a confirmed tornado associated with it. And again, and I'll repeat a lot of this, and as we go through the afternoon, yes, we repeat a lot of things, but it's for folks that are jumping in and out of coverage and seeing what's going on. The red are radar indicated tornadoes. The purple are radar confirmed tornadoes. The radar has seen something that obviously warrants, that confirms that a tornado is or was on the ground. So again, the purple tornado warnings perhaps a little bit more, I don't want to say more significant, they just have a little bit more evidence attached to them. So confirming that a tornado is on the ground or was on the ground at some point. As this storm continues to crawl out of Grant Parish, again, we'll approach Highway 84 probably in the next I would say 10 to 15 minutes. Highway 84 is a pretty popularly traveled road from folks traveling even from Monroe to Natchitoches or from Winfield to Natchitoches, Columbia to Natchitoches, or vice versa. You hit 84 and go in toward the Clarence community, which is about 7 miles or so outside of Natchitoches. That's a pretty traveled road. And I also want to stress to folks that are traveling or may have friends, family traveling in this area, that cell phone reception is a little spotty in a lot of these areas. So you get a hold of them as soon as possible and make sure of where they are, because again, this is a northward moving storm. And as that radar refreshes, this is what we're talking about right here. And I'll go ahead and draw out the little circle, just to kind of pinpoint what we're talking about. There is our possible tornado making its way to the north, off to the north, and eventually to the northwest as the storm kind of revolves its signature, moves around that storm's circulation. So again, it is starting initially as a northward moving storm. It may start wobbling off to the northwest as it, again, kind of revolves around the larger circulation associated with Beryl. That's yet to be determined. Again, the most important takeaway from this this radar signature and this radar screen that you're seeing is that it continues to show some pretty strong organization. The reds and greens staying pretty close together. There's still some pretty bold colors. And that leads to another issue as we go through the day, that a lot of these thunderstorms, again, have some pretty strong winds associated with it. It is a tropical landfalling system. So while we are well separated from the storm center, these stronger storms with frequent lightning, occasional rainfall, and possible tornadoes will also have the potential of producing gusty winds, maybe 50, maybe upwards of 60 miles per hour. We may not see a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings today. Probably just more tornado warnings as they're issued as these storms continue off to the north. Alex, checking that Bienville Parish storm, again, it looks like it's firmly outside of...
It is a radar confirmed tornado now.
Do what now?
It is a radar confirmed
in Bienville Parish?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this storm is a radar confirmed tornado, so that warning...
It's located 11 miles west of Ringgold.
Okay. Oh, you're talking about...
Oh, Bienville, yes, sir.
Okay, this storm.
And then your Natchitoches and your Winfield tornadoes have not had an update yet.
Okay, all right. So continue to keep an eye. Oh, so you said this one's west of Ringgold. So in this general area, Ringgold obviously over in Bienville Parish. So this is west of the Bienville Parish line, more than likely, as it continues to move off to the north and west. There are a number of tornado warnings and extremely strong bands of very heavy rainfall making their way through I-20 into eastern Texas. Again, this is mainly for traveling purposes. If you have friends or family that are traveling west to Dallas or Shreveport or any of these areas, I would just, again, caution cancel travel if you can, postpone it. This is not going to be a fun day to be trying to drive westbound into a mess of tornado warnings and very heavy rainfall. There is our tornado signature associated with at Bienville Parish storm. Again, looks to be firmly west of Bienville Parish. Just wanted to check it on our live storm tracker Doppler radar before we went back to our Grant and Wind Parish storm, which is mainly, for all intents and purposes right now, a Wind Parish storm. The tornado warning goes until 2:45 this afternoon. We got about another 15 minutes or so. And again, as you join us this afternoon, we may dodge in and out of programming. There may be tornado warnings issued and active for our area at times, and then there may be times where we don't have a whole lot happening in our area. And again, most of this, the vast majority of it, remains focused in the far western reaches of our viewing area. So if you go farther east along the Mississippi River, folks out basically from Monroe eastward, east of 165, your impacts more than likely are going to be more subdued, more limited. There may be a lot of areas that don't even see rainfall in the eastern sections of the Ark-La-Miss. This is really focused closer to the storm center as Beryl continues to move ashore. You've seen the forecast cone. Chase brought that to you this morning. We've talked about it a lot. We would expect Tropical Storm Beryl to eventually move through East Texas and then essentially hop on I-30 and make its way northeastward. And some of the latest forecast cones have shifted it even farther eastward, where the possibility of Tropical Depression Beryl moving into our viewing area is a little bit more possible. As you see some of the radar warnings, the warnings pop off the radar, again, we're hitting the 2:30 time frame, so the warnings that were issued until 2:30 have been able to fall off. But I also want to draw attention to this activity west and south of Alexandria. Again, I know on a normal day it would not look like much, and it probably isn't much in the scope of aerial coverage of rainfall and things of that nature. But where the problems lie is tropical tornadoes are usually developed in very low-top supercell structures. It doesn't even have to be a full-blown mature thunderstorm. The environmental conditions are pretty much as optimal as they can get this time of year for us to develop tornadoes. Again, if you're going to see tornadoes in July or August in our area, 9 times out of 10, maybe 99 times out of 100, you're probably going to see them, or at least 95 times out of 100, you're going to see them from tropical systems. And so this is a completely different set of circumstances than you would normally see on a typical severe weather day. So again, I'm just saying all that so folks take these seriously. They don't look at the radar and go, oh, okay, this is nothing. Because again, in the grand scope of what it's producing in our area, you're right. It's not covering a large area. It's not probably producing any hail or anything like that. Tropical systems typically don't produce a lot of hail, but it is probably producing some lightning at times. In fact, I can turn the lightning on just for a second so we can see what we're working with. Yeah, so some pretty frequent lightning in both of these thunderstorms. I take that off the map just because it can be very difficult to see some of the more specific nuances of these storms with all that going on. So back to the Wind Parish storm. The tornado warning has been trimmed away from Grant Parish. And so again, this goes until 2:45. What were you trying to say, Alex?
It's 35 miles per hour going north.
Now moving a little bit faster to the north at 35 miles per hour. Approaching Highway 84, probably near Highway 84 at this point. Again, we do not have radar confirmation. We do not have visual confirmation that this storm is producing a tornado, but make sure that you heed the warnings. Interior portion of your home, away from windows and doors. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And again, I keep zooming out because there's just so much going on farther westward, and just want to stress to folks that if you have friends or family traveling, west is not ideal right now. Shreveport, Bossier, basically anything west of Arcadia and moving toward Minden and some of those areas, Houghton, some of those, that's about as far west as you can go before conditions start to deteriorate pretty quickly. Because again, I can't stress the fact that not only are we dealing with the tornadic potential from these thunderstorms, but you're also starting to see numerous flash flood warnings starting to pop up, especially again in eastern Texas, where the rain totals will be admittedly much higher than what we will see in our area. But farther westward, in our far western counties and parishes, just can't stress enough that the periods of heavy rain will be quite noticeable as we work through the afternoon. We will continue to monitor all these additional cells to the south. Lightning's not a good thing today. That usually means that storms are intensifying, so it won't take much for a tornado warning to be needed for any particular storm. And again, as we get some of these bands to train over the same areas repeatedly, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of the same areas under tornado warnings repeatedly. If you follow the storm motion with these bands, a lot of these bands are kind of moving in a more northwesterly manner, or the cells associated with them are moving in a northwesterly motion. So the storm motion is going to carry a lot of these, just training them over the same areas over and over. And that's what's also leading, quite frankly, to a lot of the flash flooding issues that we're seeing already across eastern Texas. A lot of these spots have already seen 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6+ inches of rainfall. But again, farther eastward, a little bit more isolated concern, at least in our viewing area. And I know for folks farther eastward that may not even see rain from Tropical Storm Beryl will probably think that this is, kind of blown out of proportion. But again, it's just a vast difference between being closer to the storm center. What we've seen throughout the day is as daytime heating continues to fester, we hit the normal heat of the afternoon. The storm's rain shield, if you will, or the rain coverage will expand because, again, you've got this tropical environment that's now interacting with warm, humid, unstable air, so it creates a larger coverage of rainfall and thunderstorms and the possibility of tornadoes. But then as we work into the night and we lose that daytime heating, we don't lose the heavy rain and the tornado potential altogether. It just shrinks back down more so closer to the storm center. These bands don't expand out as far to the to the east and to the north as they would typically do during the daytime hours. So again, tropical systems, completely different animal, and just want to acknowledge that and really kind of drive that point home for folks that are out and about today and may encounter one of these tornado warnings. The tornado warning for the Natchitoches area or along I-49 west of Natchitoches, again, that circulation still looking pretty strong. Our Wynn Parish circulation looking a little bit more kind of stretched out, elongated, weaker, not as many bold colors, but please heed the warning if you're in this area. And again, acknowledging the fact that we're also in a relatively rural part of southwestern Wynn Parish. As you move through the Kisatchie National Forest and a lot of these areas, there's not a whole lot of towns and population where we're into a lot of national forestry areas and things of that nature as you move into southwestern Wynn Parish. So there may not be a lot of folks out there, but again, this is a very highly traveled road along Highway 84 headed toward Natchitoches, and if you do skirt past this storm on the way to Natchitoches, you've got another tornado warning waiting for you when you get there. So again, alert, 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 let folks know what's going on, communicate, and we'll continue to kind of keep you updated with whatever information we can provide you, especially as these storms at times will strengthen and then weaken between radar scans. We get a new radar scan from the National Weather Service about every 5 to 8 minutes. Our radar gets a new scan, gets just scanning continuously, but we get a full new scan every 60 seconds in any particular area. But these types of tornadoes can even develop between a 60-second radar scan. So again, just want to stress that how quickly forming these storms can be at times as the storm now starts to perhaps even move out of portions of Wynn Parish and continues to move into northeastern sections of Natchitoches Parish. Again, Natchitoches Parish is a pretty large area, so just want to keep that in mind. New tornado, is this a new tornado warning for the Natchitoches Parish storm?
Yes.
And does that include any of our viewing area? It does not.
No.
Currently.
It's Natchitoches and Red River.
So it's just Natchitoches and Red River. There's a lot of stuff going on the radar screen. Sometimes it's tough to even see the borders with all the parishes and the like. So again, that's at least a little bit of positive news for our viewing area. It's not a lot of good news for the folks in Natchitoches and Red River parishes who, quite frankly, have had numerous tornado warnings already this afternoon, and we'll probably hit a point. I don't want folks to get fatigued from these tornado warnings in these areas, because if you do get under a tornado warning, you may be under multiple ones through the day, and I just tried to explain that and tried to provide a little bit more detail. As I zoom out a little bit and we start scooting eastward. Again, this is the National Weather Service in Shreveport's radar, which quite frankly probably has the best vantage point on landfalling Tropical Storm Beryl at this point. Again, the Fort Johnson radar, which we would normally be using probably pretty frequently at this point to see that Natchitoches Parish storm, is unavailable today. So we have Beryl, the eye wall, what's left of it, now making its way northward toward the Lufkin, Texas area. Will continue northward today, but as it continues to weaken, gets caught in the upper level pattern, and will probably start to wobble a little bit more to the north and east. And again, this tornado threat while isolated and kind of focused in the western parishes in our viewing area, this tornado watch extends out until 10 p.m. because, again, as this storm center continues to move northward, any kind of banding structures that we see kind of winding within this landfalling tropical storm, they have the conditions favorable, high amounts of wind shear in the environment. With daytime heating, we're getting some instability so the air can rise at least sufficiently fast enough. And again, it's a very tropical environment. One thing that you always need for tornadoes is moisture. And, you know, the lower top that moisture can be, you know, you get the better chance of those little shallow tornadoes forming in the low levels of the atmosphere. Obviously, every tornado is at the surface, but you can get better structure in a short, low-topped thunderstorm. You don't have to have these huge thunderstorms building really high in the atmosphere, and that's why we're dealing with the tornado warnings we're dealing with currently. The storm that's in Wynn Parish looks like it has moved out of the parish. We'll go ahead and stay with this tornado warning. It only goes for another 5 minutes or so. And as we continue, I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. Landfalling tropical systems, tornado warnings issued quickly, can sometimes be canceled quickly. Tornadoes can pulse up and down in intensity. So again, we may join you rather frequently off and on during the daytime hours. We're obviously not going to just stay on your programming all day. Doesn't make a lot of sense, especially because the tornado potential can kind of ebb and flow, especially in our area since we're on the outer fringes as we go through the day. So Facebook Lives and our live coverage may kind of dodge in and out as we go through the day. Be patient with us as we continue to bring you more information on this situation as it unfolds through the rest of the afternoon and evening. Periods of heavy rainfall could lead to some localized street flooding, although, again, that's mainly focused west of our area where the rain and the rain totals will be a little bit more uniform and consistent. There's such a widely scattered nature of our showers and storms so far. And to be honest with you, as Beryl moves inland and then out of our area tomorrow, again, there's going to be some areas in the Ark-La-Miss that really don't see any rain at all associated with this system. Again, tornado warning goes till 2:45. I'm going to leave that on the map for just a second as you can continue to watch this storm that has now kind of crawled west of Wynn Parish, along with the numerous other tornado warnings that are in place across western Louisiana. Again, most of that was well outside of our viewing area, but I just can't stress enough that tornado warnings and tropical systems are a very, to be honest with you, fickle thing. You know, these storms are kind of have a mind of their own. They're a little bit more unpredictable. You know, like I said, you can look at radar scans from a supercell in May, and you know typically whether it's strengthening or weakening and things of that nature, and these can just, again, ebb and flow in their intensity so quickly. Alex, any news on that Bienville Parish storm? Again, that one we didn't spend as much time on, and again, it's mainly just because it was pretty much outside of our area.
Parish has been trimmed out of that warning.
Okay.
But there is a tower cam for that Natchitoches storm, and it looks like a funnel cloud is lowering.
So that storm west of Natchitoches is still perhaps producing a tornado. And just, again, for folks that are traveling in that area, please be safe. Avoid that area if you can. There's the Bienville Parish possible tornado that we were talking about. And that latest radar circulation, it looks like it kind of wrapped up a little bit, got a little bit stronger, but again, has moved firmly out of Bienville Parish, so a little bit of good news there. Our latest scan from the Wynn Parish storm looks like it's noticeably stronger just to the south of Guldana, continuing to move off to the northwest toward Ashland. This is again in Natchitoches Parish, but as long as the tornado warning's active in our area, at least for the next 3 minutes or so, we're going to go ahead and stay with that. Again, when the new tornado warning is issued, and I would expect one to be needed, it'll probably trail more off to the north and west, and it may end up including portions of Bienville Parish. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. So that may actually extend our coverage a little bit longer. Tornado watch in effect till 10 p.m. tonight for the southwestern or western half of our viewing area. And again, that includes areas like, Lincoln Parish, Union Parish, Union County westward, and also southward, obviously, into Wynn and Grant parishes. Eastward, along Highway 165 and points east, Monroe, Columbia, a lot of those folks eastward, you're not under a tornado watch. Does that mean conditions could become favorable for possible spin-up tornadoes later today? It's not out of the question. There is a marginal risk for severe weather across the good chunk of the eastern half of our viewing area, but the slight enhanced risks are farther westward, where the conditions, again, are more favorable closer to the storm's circulation. I know it doesn't seem that 30 or 40 or 50 miles difference would make that much of a difference, or maybe even 60 to 100 miles difference, but it does, especially with tropical landfalling systems, because the storm and its environment that it's kind of created for itself is really pretty limited in its overall scope, and it is shrinking down even more as the storm weakens and continues to move farther inland. We're approaching the 2:45 time frame. We've been on for about the past half hour plus with a tornado warning, actually multiple tornado warnings. We had one for Bienville Parish. That one's already been trimmed away, and then a storm that has now moved generally out of Wynn and Grant parishes. The initial tornado warning was for both, but we are just kind of staying with this because this potential new tornado warning would likely include southern Bienville Parish, which is in our viewing area. And again, so we talk about supercells and we talk little hook echoes. You hear about those all the time during the spring and summertime months. And this is the same general thought process as a supercell structure. It may not be a full-blown, mature supercell thunderstorm, but that little hook there, that's what you would look at as a possible tornado. Same with the Natchitoches Parish storm. Doesn't look like much. It's very low top. It's not building very, very high in the environment, but it still has that little comma, that little tail end, that's where we focus on the potential for tornadic development. That tornado warning was allowed to expire for Wynn Parish, and as I mentioned earlier, and I will repeat a lot through the course of the day, our coverage on air and online may ebb and flow as warnings are issued. If this storm issues a new tornado warning for portions of Bienville Parish, we'll obviously join you then. But for now, we'll go ahead and send you back to your regularly scheduled programming. We will end our social media coverage as well. Stay tuned to NBC 10 and Fox 14. We'll keep you updated with the latest as we go through the rest of the afternoon.